The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the producers and the individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff of the Sun Prairie Media Center, its members or underwriters, the board members of the Media Center Commission, Charter Communications, TDS Telecom, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello, and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit. The man seated next to me doesn't know the meaning of the word nougat. His name is Mike Roth.
It doesn't make sense. I know what a nugget is. That's really easy. Nougat doesn't make sense.
You don't want to chew on a nugget, though. You don't want to bite into a candy bar.
Nugget of candy.
Gross.
Little nugget of candy.
Just crunch, crunch. Oh, my
Yeah.
teeth.
Well, no, nuggets don't have to be hard. You're thinking of just gold, which is a soft metal, perfectly fine to eat.
And that's what we learned today. Gold, perfectly fine to eat.
It is. It's great tasting thing.
Makes sense.
Yep.
I mean, I got some gold in my teeth.
There we go.
Why not put it?
If you're
flush
ever
it the rest of the
starving,
way
you
down?
do the James Bond thing. You just like
Yeah.
a cyanide capsule, swallow your gold.
There's just so much going on, and I don't even know how to keep up with all this. Now we're biting down on cyanide capsules. Kids, we're going to have some fun today. So first up on the marquee this week, sir, I have a film for you called Cold Pursuit, starring the great Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson stars as a man named Nels Coxman. He is the man of the year in this mountain town of Kehoe, Colorado. He is a snowplow driver who keeps a dangerous stretch of road open. So right away, I'm liking this guy. He's cutting a path. His son, who is actually played by his real son, Michael Richardson, is killed. And it's set up to look like he OD'd on drugs, even though everyone knows his son doesn't do drugs. And so Nels doesn't believe, the coroner's report. Says that's impossible. My son doesn't do drugs. So he goes about searching down and killing everyone who's involved in this plan, this cover-up, this murder. He wraps their bodies in chicken wire and dumps them into the Colorado River to sink to the bottom in a great little plan. And along the way, he kind of gets a taste for this line of work, and he begins going after everyone who's involved in this drug and crime ring that he discovers, and led by a guy who they call him the Viking, and he's chasing down the Viking. And this film, his work as he's going about killing people, sets off this war between Viking and his gang and this Native American group who are accused of all the murders that Nels is committing. And so this war starts to erupt between the Native Americans and Vikings gang. And it's interesting.
Native Americans also a gang, or is it just...
Well, they're a tribe, not to be...
Oh.
They're a group.
A group?
A gang.
Like sell drugs
Maybe
or
a
do
gang.
anything illegal or anything, or are they just hanging out?
They're just hanging out.
Oh, that's terrible.
And they're kind of shady. Everyone in this movie's kind of shady. But it's during these moments where the other two factions are fighting, where Liam Neeson, his character of Nels, just kind of joins us in watching the violence. It's kind of funny. He kind of has this almost bemused look to his face of it all. Like, look at all this violence. Look at people just killing each other. I kind of dig, like, it's basically set up to be a Western. It's like a wintry Western. It's shot like a wintry Western. Big landscapes as quiet moments are happening. And one man chasing down a gang and all this stuff. And it's interesting because I think the way I took this, and it maybe it's just me, but I think it was the intent of this movie, is it feels to me like it's almost a satire of Liam Neeson's previous work up to this over the last recent years.
Yeah.
Because it's a really dark comedy.
From looking at the trailers, I could tell that it's over the top in every aspect.
Yes.
And this guy is just a snowplow driver. We are snowplow drivers.
Yes.
We know no one like Liam
Right,
Neeson.
exactly. And so it's a really dark comedy. There's a lot of sudden, very unexpected deaths, and they're punctuated by someone dies and a title card pops up with their name, and it's a way of almost keeping track of the body count in this movie. And sometimes it's so unexpected. You'll meet somebody and they'll get punched in the face, and then title card comes up, and you're like, well, that guy's dead. and so it actually draws a lot of laughs. There's a lot of laughs to these markers for who's dying in this movie.
Huh.
I kind of dug that. And also you have the small town cops led by Emmy Rossum who are trying to track down this case, and they're kind of fun in the way they do it. And I don't know, I just felt like this movie for Liam Neeson was about as enjoyable as anything I've seen him do in quite a while.
Well, if this movie is fun, that is a big difference from a lot of his other movies. Like the Taken movie, this last one was not fun at all.
Right.
That was a horrible thing to
and
watch.
Most of his movies haven't been fun. And Liam Neeson's kind of drawn some fire recently for comments that he's made, which he should not have opened his mouth about.
I forgot about
you just
that.
bury that.
Mm-hmm.
But I did enjoy a bit of a satire, a bit of fun, over the top. He wasn't just a completely stone-faced, unemotional character that he plays all the time. He's drawn by revenge, but he also starts to enjoy what he's doing, and so it's kind of fun.
Out of curiosity, do you think he's going to be blackballed after his comments? Like, Mel Gibson, he went a certain ways, and then eventually Hollywood gave up on him.
Mel Gibson had multiple things, though, along the way.
True.
He had multiple things, and a lot of them on tape. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think Liam Neeson will somehow survive this. He survives everything.
He does. Just don't kidnap a family member.
So ultimately, I gave Cold Pursuit 3.5 stars. I think it's a good, fun, dark comedy. So
All right.
worth checking out.
All right, cool.
All right. What do you have for us?
I
sir?
have something a little less fun. It's called The Prodigy. It's
No. Before that, you have
Oh,
a different film.
I meant Isn't It Romantic, which is
well.
a rom-com. It's supposed to be funny.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't laugh very much. It's directed by Todd Strauss-Strowman. Rebel Wilson, she is the star of this movie. She is the kind of person that does not believe in rom-coms. They're all stupid. They're all cliche until she gets stuck in one. She gets mugged. She gets hit on the head, which you find a lot of supernatural things happen after being hit in the head.
This now.
I've never been hit in the head, or have I? I don't know. I could be stuck in
This could
some
be the
real
alternate
weird
universe.
world. But once Rebel Wilson is hit in the head, she is in the rom-com world where everything follows rom-com rules, stereotypes, cliches. And this is the meat of the movie. It's a lot like how you would expect scary movie or epic movies, all those things, except for those movies usually have that nostalgic feel because it pulls from other movies. This one is solely on stereotypes and just trying to make a world around what you think a rom-com would be about. As it's making fun of rom-coms, it's also falling in its own cliche of being the rom-com it's supposed to be making fun of, which I found annoying. I really did not, I don't think I laughed at this movie until the very end, when all of a sudden, like all movies where they're in a fictional world, they come back to the real world, and then the real world people, much like a Wizard of Oz scenario, they were normal.
And you were there?
And you were there, and you were there, and that part I thought was funny, but going through all these cliches, like having the stereotype offensive gay friend that helps her on her journey, and the dancing, and
I mean, but it's a movie that is playing into the tropes of that. It recognizes the tropes it's having. I mean, the montage music starts up, and she's like, "No, we are not doing a changing clothes montage."
And
they recognize as they're doing the song and dance number, like, how did everybody know how to do these dance moves? This is weird.
And the idea of it, I thought would be funny, but the movie itself also fell into its own thing. So it's saying the rom-coms are all stupid, and at the same time being a stupid rom-com.
But I think that was the point of it. I mean, I like rom-coms. I'm a big fan of rom-coms.
Oh, okay.
I like this pairing because Rebel Wilson and Adam Devine had the same pairing in Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
They had this rom-com will they, won't they
Yeah.
dynamic through Pitch Perfect, which I liked. And so I like having them together in this as the will they, won't they scenario. You have, which Hemsworth brother? Liam Hemsworth, the least talented of the Hemsworth brothers, I'll say.
I was like, oh, wow, he looks like he could be talented, but it's off.
Yeah. He's really wouldn't.
I did not like Adam Devine and Rebel Wilson together in this movie. I loved them in Pitch Perfect. I thought they had chemistry. In this movie, I thought it felt like they were paired together because they had chemistry in other movies.
See, and I thought, I don't know, I felt like they were having fun. I liked it. This movie, I mean, it really winks at all of these films. I mean, it opens with Pretty Woman being shown on screen.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is what we're going after. And all those Hallmark movies and all those Lifetime movies you love, where, you know, like you said, we have the tropes of the gay best friend. We have the Nancy Myers styled apartment and the Nancy Myers styled neighborhood where you walk out and everything's perfect. There's flowers everywhere. And, you know, the montages and all of the tropes that you would have in these moments are all here. And I like that it's satirizing those things.
It is, but at the same time, I thought if it's going to satirize it, kind of stay away from actually being it at the same time.
How are you going to do that, though? You can't satirize it without
well, no, but like
digging into it.
When you have other movies which are of less quality, scary movie, it wasn't a scary movie. It was a satire of scary.
Yeah, but
movies.
I don't want one of those movies for this.
No, I don't, and I didn't want this either.
I don't want Meet the Spartans style movie.
No, and these are all.
I thought this is. I mean, there were some things I liked about this. I like Rebel Wilson in this role, really playing against the type of the girl who would be in this movie.
Yeah.
Rom-coms don't star people that look like Rebel Wilson.
No.
And so I like that. I like the message of learning who to love. You know, and that's where it broke away from the rom-com, though, because in the rom-com, she's falling in love with Adam Devine. That's the end of the movie. But she learns a different message that leads to that.
Yeah, but you don't find out what that message is until the last 10 minutes of the movie, which reminds me of a lot of another movie that we saw last year, where the female character is
don't
supposed
say I
to
feel
be,
pretty, because that movie was garbage.
It kind of reminded me of that.
No, I mean, yes, we have another movie where a hit on the head brings about the narrative, but that movie was terrible. As opposed to Amy Schumer, who was literally the star of a rom-com right before she tried making a movie that kind of made fun of things like that. And I Feel Pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, she had just made her mark in that movie.
Well, how I compare it is
this movie has a better message, though. That movie says you can't be anything unless you hit your head. You have no self-worth in the real world. And Amy Schumer, all her character wanted was to be anything other than what she was. She didn't want to come back from that perfect world, whereas Rebel Wilson is in this perfect world, but she wants a real, actual interaction with people, and she doesn't want a fake, perfect world. So she could have Liam Hemsworth, and everything's perfect, and everything is great, but she doesn't want that. She wants actual interactions, whereas Amy Schumer wanted to stay in that fake world.
Well, how I compare it isn't the head or the fake world, but at the reveal. And the reveal where Rebel Wilson is all of a sudden like, oh, I don't want to be part of this world. It didn't feel like it was happening until the very end. And the only time I was surprised
she's got a character arc she's got to make first. We can't do it in the middle.
And, well, I chalk it up to
a real short movie.
I think this would have been possible. I did not like how it was written.
I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked the cast, like Adam Devine. I didn't like Liam Hemsworth. I like Priyanka Chopra, and I really like Brandon Scott Jones as Donnie, the across-the-hall neighbor / gay best friend when he needed to be.
I thought the cliche on that was just
But that's
overdone.
the point. It's the
I
cliche.
know, I didn't like it.
I mean, they say it right away, like, I'm the gay best friend that you always wanted.
Yeah, but saying, let's do cliches or stereotypes, it's just like
Wait,
saying,
wait.
you're not getting the point of the Spartans or the epic movie. I get it. I don't like it.
The movie is playing on cliches.
Yeah.
Aren't these silly? We have to have them in the movie. Otherwise, what?
But do you like other movies that do this too? I mean, are you?
I can't think of any other movies that do this.
The epic movie.
No, those are terrible movies, though.
They are because
this is not a terrible movie.
No,
those are made to be terrible.
Yeah,
those are made to be awful because all those are segments of sketches put together. They're not movies. Yeah, they're like Kentucky Fried Movie. They're just 5-minute sketches all put together. Yeah, the characters don't have no arc. You're unfair. These characters had an arc. To say otherwise is just ridiculous. Rebel Wilson's character had an arc through the entire movie, man. You have to recognize that.
I didn't.
Wow.
It sounded like, to me, it was like skits until the very end.
Oh, man.
Which reminds me of the Amy Schumer movie.
Oh, no. What did you ultimately give this movie?
I gave it a 1.5.
Oof. For the right score, it's a 3.5.
Jeez.
Yeah, we disagree. I like rom-coms, fair enough. You do not like rom-coms.
I do not.
I think that's a big part of where this divide
It could be. I usually like horror movies. and we'll find out later. That's not necessarily true either.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on. The next movie we have is what was supposed to be the big movie of the week. It is Lego Movie 2, the second part, 5 years after the original Lego movie. Emmett is a hero, and the Duplo blocks have invaded. Those are the ones that the little kid Legos.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They've invaded, and they have become a problem due to events in the real world. Now, you remember at the end of the first Lego movie, we go into the real world with Will Ferrell and his son and his daughter, and we see how this all came to be. In the real world now, that little girl is growing up, the little sister, she's got her Duplo blocks, and it's causing mayhem. We have this Mad Max world, and Emmett and his friends, Batman, Wild Style, Ultra Kitty, well, they're all captured by General Mayhem, as voiced by Stephanie Beatriz. And events happen. We also are introduced to a new character, voiced by Tiffany Haddish, Queen whatever.
Which was pretty cool.
Yeah, and she's kind of our main, I don't know, antagonist? I can't really say that. I can't really say antagonist, but she's built to be something like that. And this movie kind of interestingly gets into eventually gets into this idea of male ego and kind of the glorification of male heroes, to the point where we even bring in Bruce Willis to be John McClane for a minute in here, referencing a bunch of pop culture stuff. We also have Emmett's, the guy he wants to be, Rex Dangervest.
Which I love that it's Chris Pratt who does this, because this is his character from Lost World.
Rex Dangervest. And kind of the part to me that kind of made me scratch my head was they brought in some odd time travel towards the end of the movie that didn't quite work out for me.
And that's the only time where I felt like the action and the story became low for me. I wanted things to kind of hurry up, and I kind of noticed that with the crowd. The crowd I was in was heavily saturated with small children, and at that point, they're getting out of their chairs and they're running around, and I'm like,
the story and my friends that I wanted here.
But besides that lull, I thought all the action and stuff to that point was pretty solid. All these jokes, I laughed.
Did you really?
I really did.
We have a different situation from the last movie. I thought this movie was dull.
Really?
My daughter thought this movie was dull.
I still laughed. I love the fact that you have all these stars in there. And I mentioned this to you earlier. They might have a line. It's like, really, you got Will Ferrell back. You don't even see his face.
That's the problem with this, though, is I like all this voice cast. And part of it is that first one, when it came out 5 years ago, was revolutionary.
Yeah.
Since then, we've seen 2 other versions with Batman and Ninjago. I think they've been steadily losing, I think, especially with Ninjago.
Yeah.
And this one, Lord and Miller wrote the script, but they've been long gone from this project. So we have Mike Mitchell coming in to direct it, from Shrek the Third and other movies like that.
Yeah.
And the screenplay felt uninspired to me. The screenplay felt like they were choosing to just throw more things and more pop culture references at you on the screen and try and reference more of that over having a compelling story to me. I didn't find the story that compelling this time.
I feel like they did pretty much copycat the formula from the first Lego movie. Which
I felt stale to me in that way.
For me, it still felt fresh. I still liked it because I didn't get that flavor when I saw Batman or Ninjago. I thought both of those were a definite downgrade from the Lego movie.
And I think this, for me, this felt right along that path of like the Lego name in the cinematic universe to me feels incredibly boring at this point, because I've seen one great one a pretty good one, and then one that was just a real mess with Ninjago, and then this one just felt boring and recycled to me.
You know, I think maybe the part where I made it even more enjoyable to me, I had that warm-up. Every time the Duplos came out, and they were just so cute right before they caused so much devastation. I did enjoy that a lot. I was like, oh, that is so funny. And they did it so often where I had that funny bone warm-up the entire movie.
I will say,
until the end.
I did laugh. I'm not saying this is a terrible movie. I'm saying I was hoping a little more, because that first one was great.
It was awesome.
It stood out. And it's hard
Everything
to recapture.
was awesome.
It's hard to recapture that, because that was kind of this new animation and this, like, how are they going to make Legos interesting? Wow, they made it awesome. And there were things I liked, and I liked some of the new characters that they added in.
I like some of the new songs, like Everything's Not Awesome. That's an unrealistic point of
catchy.
view of life, and this song will get stuck in your head.
I thought the message that they had in the movie was good. and kind of empowering for little girls. I think it's an important message that they put in here. I just think that for me, the delivery method kind of left a lot to be desired.
That's fair.
Interesting too, though, that against very little competition, this movie really tanked. The first movie made $69 million opening weekend. This made $34 million. They were expecting it to at least bring in $55 million this weekend. And it opened $20 million less than they had expected. A real disappointment at the box office considering who it was up against this week.
What else is out that's a children's
Nothing.
film?
We're talking about it.
That is crazy.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
And, it was busy. But when I saw this a few weeks ago, a little sneak preview thing, and it wasn't sold out. And I thought, wow, word of mouth, like these kids movies always sell out for these things.
Yeah, especially February. I remember when February used to be the bad month also. You never got anything good until springtime.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, cartoons started coming out in February, like Ice Age and stuff. And they just were blockbuster hits because no one has anything to do during the winter except for go to theaters.
Yeah. What did you end up giving the Lego Movie 2?
I really enjoyed myself. I gave it a 4, which is less than I gave the first Lego Movie, but I really had a good time.
Yeah, I wish I would have. I gave it a 2.5. It's all right. It's better than Lego Ninjago.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'll say that. Anyways, what's the next movie we have on the marquee, sir?
Well, this would be the one I was going to talk about earlier and did not do it. I'm talking about The Prodigy, directed by Nicholas McCarthy. Taylor Schilling, if you are not familiar with the name, you might be familiar with the character where she plays Piper in Orange is the New Black, hit Netflix series. A lot of people are excited she is in her first horror movie. Until you watch it. She has a young son, Miles, that the moment he was born, a psycho killer in Omaha ends up dying. He gets shot. His MO was he cut off women's hands right before he killed them. And then once he died, I guess his spirit flowed into the baby Miles. Baby Miles has always been a smart kid, learned how to talk before anybody else.
Speaks Hungarian.
Speaks Hungarian. And then, really, this is a cliche of a lot of horror movies.
Movie
but
is child's play.
It's child's play. It's also the one with the guy that's in an electric chair. It's also, it's like any movie where the psycho killer ends up in some other entity, except for in this one.
There's no voodoo, though. I like the voodoo in Child's Play.
Well, Child's Play is classic. It becomes humorous. It becomes really off the rails eventually. But this did nothing to add to the genre except for having Piper in a movie, and that is it. Some of the dialogue in here was absolutely terrible. Like there's a scene, I'm going to stop calling her Piper. Her name in the movie is Sarah.
Right.
She records her son speaking Hungarian. She takes it to a
She's
doctor.
very concerned about this.
And she's really concerned. This is the only evidence she has when she gives it to a doctor. He translates it, and she's denying that it was. It's like, why did you even record it if you didn't think it was important?
That stood out to me, too. Like, you were concerned, and then he tells you about it. You're like,
Yeah, and this is like the attitude through the whole movie. And then it gets really off the... you believe the killer and like try to finish. It's just
and
weird.
There's some terrible effects. There's one point where little Miles turns his head and there's an overlay of an adult male's head over him, and I laughed out loud.
It was bad. This movie, and I like horror movies. I usually give horror movies
I like creepy kid movies. Like I think creepy kids are really effective on me. Because you can't fight them.
Yeah.
They get the benefit of the doubt. Oh, I'm sorry. And the kid. Jackson Robert Scott, who played Miles, I thought he was good in this.
Yeah.
Is portraying both sides of this, the innocent, and then this evil within him. You can see it. And I liked him in this. But the movie was so bad. And the father is a traditional, one-dimensional, nothing character in this movie. Like, did he have a dad? Oh, yeah, he was barely in this. He just had nothing lines to do.
He was there for a later body count when things got boring.
Right. I mean, this movie had so many tropes. You got just obvious jump scares. You know when you see somebody walking barefoot down a set of staircases to the basement, there's going to be something sharp on those stairs. Yeah. You got, flies. Flies are in all bad horror movies.
Yeah. And that was a huge scare when she moves this towel and there's maggots.
But you knew it was going to be there 10 minutes beforehand. Like, as soon as she started going outside, I was like, there's going to be a dog.
Yeah.
Because
that's in every movie. Good
How
song.
long would it take? Though, here's the bad part. For me...
Now?
Let me tell you. They literally tell you the entire movie in the first 5 minutes. if you pay attention. I mean, there's the death of evil and the birth of innocence, and then you see some events happen in the first 5 minutes where I was nudging the friend I was with, like, we know how this is gonna go, and it kind of went that way. The final third of the movie was really bad, though. Like there was some moments in the beginning where I was okay, I'm all right, and the interaction between Miles and his dad kind of raised my blood pressure. Kids like ignoring you and sneering at you, like, ooh, I'll give him one of these, but. No, the final third was awful.
Actually, you know what? I can't give you that. The whole movie was awful. The first part, there's nothing redeeming in that. That one was just like any other horror movie that has a possession. The middle is total forgettable.
Yeah.
Third act, the only reason why I'm going to remember is because it happened at the last part of the movie. It's the most fresh thing in my mind.
What did you end up giving old Prodigy here, sir?
I gave it a 1.5. It probably deserves less. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm actually getting angry that I wasted my time.
Yeah, and I feel like I was way too generous now if we're talking. I gave it a 2.
Wow.
Well, it didn't earn it, though.
But our after review score.
Yeah, exactly. Bumped it down a little bit. Don't see the Prodigy. You don't need to. Just watch.
There's going to be another horror movie coming out next week.
Yeah,
give that one a
watch
chance.
That. Exactly. All right, let's take a look back, sir. There's no reason this movie is a throwback other than we had a movie called Cold Pursuit. So let's have a movie called Hot Fuzz.
Oh, we got a murderer.
Sure, there's murders. 2007, Edgar Wright brings us the movie. It's his follow-up from the huge success Shaun of the Dead. We have Simon Pegg and Nick Frost returning for Hot Fuzz. Simon Pegg plays Nicholas Angel, who's sent to a police force in a small town. He's a real hard-nosed detective. And deaths keep happening in this small town. And it's a fun movie. You have Timothy Dalton in here, Martin Freeman, and it's him just kind of dealing with the ignorance in this small town, and he knows something's going on. His dynamic with Nick Frost is great. I love those two together so much. And it's Edgar Wright, and his stylistic form of storytelling is great. Like, it carries through. I think this is an underrated movie. I don't think a lot of people give this enough of what it deserves. Shaun of the Dead is the big popular one.
Yeah, I think maybe if anybody didn't like this movie, it was because they were expecting Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
And this is not Shaun of the Dead.
Right.
It is over-the-top violent. It is humorous. But the Simon Pegg and blanking out, Nick Frost relationship wasn't as strong as it was in the first movie that we saw. But when you watch this movie as this is not Shaun of the Dead, it is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. It's action-packed. They take cliches from action movies and make it funny, just like Shaun of the Dead did.
Absolutely. And if you want to watch it, it's available on Netflix right now. So
Or at my house.
check it out. There you go.
Come to my house. You bring popcorn.
All right, let's take a quick look ahead at what is coming out the weekend of February 22nd. This is real easy. Good thing we don't have much time because there's only one movie. It's going to be How to Train Your Dragon 3. I'm really excited for this because I love those first two a lot.
I'm hoping that it doesn't do the Pitch Perfect thing where the first 2 weeks are fantastic.
I mean, that second one had man tears rolling down my cheeks at points because it's really effective.
And the second one, I felt like it went on too long. It was like 2 great movies, and that's the reason why it was
I dig
long.
it. I dig it. I'm looking forward to that. We'll also be doing our Oscar predictions ahead of the February 24th Oscar telecast. I guess we'll be doing that next week because next week we're going to be talking about Alita Battle Angel. We're also going to be talking about Happy Death Day to You.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's going to be exciting. And we're going to be watching all these movies along with our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, the Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring this program and showing all these movies and so much more. They also still have their Oscar showcase going on. You can check out all of the Best Picture, most of the Best Picture nominees, as well as the live action and animated shorts. Those are always worth checking out. Just go to the Palace.
Yeah.
Why not?
Purchase one of their popcorn buckets. I got my money's worth out of that, so...
Mike just takes it and dumps it over his head.
I do.
Wild man.
It's only $4. Woo!
Wild man. All right. You can find more from us online. Go to sunprairiemediacenter.com. Click the on-demand player, or you can find us on YouTube by searching Real Reviews, KSUN. It is episode 251.
Yeah.
Time to start watching the back issues here.
We've got a while for our next milestone.
Yeah, we do. No doubt. All right. Next week, as I said, Alita Battle Angel, Happy Death Day to You, as well as our Oscar predictions and picks. But until we meet again, I'm Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.